Okay, good evening everyone. Today is the week 2 discussion of this course, Farm Machinery. It was taken by Professor V.K. Tiwari of Director IIT Kharagpur and Professor Agriculture and Food Engineering Department IIT Kharagpur, and myself Ayan Paul, PMRF Research Scholar from IIT Kharagpur. So last week we have started our farm machinery class discussion. We have taken some of the equipments your like your plow, then moldboard plow, disc harrow, rotavator. And today we will be continuing with this discussion. So that class I have told you, to operate our farm machinery we need different sources of power. So one source of power was human power, second was animal power, and third is mechanical or electrical power. So in farm machinery, by mechanical power we take power from mainly from tractor or power tiller. Okay, so how to get the power? We need to attach the implement with the tractor. So to attach the implement with the tractor, the system uses hitch system. Okay, so according to the hitch system we classify our equipments in three parts. One is single point hitch. So single point hitch, it is mainly used for trailer type implement. And second one is two point hitch, it is used for semi mounted type implement. And third is three point hitch is used for mounted type implement. Now what is this trailer type implement? Trailer type implement are those that are towed behind a tractor using a hitch. Means we are not connecting all the 3 points, we are just connecting only one single point hitch. That is the top link. Okay, so this single point hitch is used for trailer type implements. So trailer type, by the name you can make out that it is used for implement for trailing, like towing a vehicle. You must have seen a car, you must have seen a truck or any type of other vehicle that is towing a car or other implements, right? Towing a car or other vehicle. So that type of implements are known as trailer implements. Okay, so these trailer implements are not physically connected to the tractor's frame or hydraulic. Instead they rely on tractor power to pull them. So we are just relying this implements are just relying to the tractor to just pull them. Okay, not any other contacts, like not any hydraulic contact or other contact. So this is known as trailer type implement. So second implement is semi mounted implement. So semi mounted implement are a combination of trailer type and mounted implement. Mounted we will see next. Okay, so they are partially supported by their own wheels or frame and partially connected to the tractor. So we are connecting it to 2 point hitch, only the two lower links, not the top link. Okay, so this implements offer a balance between stability and maneuverability. And semi mounted implements often have their own lifting mechanism to control their working depth. And third is 3-point hitch system, and 3-point hitch system, it is used for mounted. Okay, someone has joined. And third implement is mounted type implement. Mounted type implement, it is connected to the tractor by all the three hitch points, that is one top link and two lower link. Okay, so they are rigidly connected to the tractor using tractor hydraulic and mechanical system to control their movement and operation. So mounted implements typically hang from the tractor's hitch point and are raised or lower using the tractor hydraulics. So this type of implements and this type of implements, all the implement operation like raising the implement or lowering the implement, this is done by tractor, because all the 3-point hitch are connected with the all the 3-point hitch of the tractor is connected with the implement. So these are the three implements. Now this you can see, is this slide clear? If anyone is here in the class, Amol, is this slide clear?
Clear.
Okay, nice. Now to visually see the hitch, I have attached here the two diagrams. One is top view and one is, okay, someone is joining. Okay, can we have an intro? MS Word, who is this? Can we have an intro? Can you unmute yourself? Okay, Mathila Princess J, can you unmute yourself and give an introduction to the class? Can you hear? Melitha Princess J. Is my voice audible, guys? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sondharajan M, can you unmute yourself and give an introduction?
Sir, can you repeat what is saying, asking me?
Okay, okay. I am saying, can you unmute yourself and give an introduction to the class? 2-line introduction, short introduction.
Introduction about myself.
Yes, yes, about yourself.
Yes, my name is M. Sondar Rajan. I am currently studying a master degree in environmental engineering from Excel Engineering College, sir. I
Okay.
completed UJ in Power Engineering College.
Okay.
Both colleges located in Tamil Nadu, sir.
Okay, okay, nice. So you have taken this farm machinery course, right? NPTEL farm machinery course.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have already taken one class. You can see in that problem solving session link in your NPTEL portal, where you will get the videos. There you can get the one more video, last week video, and today is the second week. So new people, two new people. I am seeing one MS Word and one you. So that is why I have given the introduction. Myself, Ayan Paul. I am a PMRF research scholar, and I will be taking this course as a TA. So my duties, I will give you the summary of all the 5-6 lectures that is covered in the week, and then I will solve you some questions like your assignment, not your assignment, but like your assignment. So when you will do the assignment, you will not feel alienated. Okay, is this clear?
I have one doubt, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, previous classes I was not attended, sir.
Yeah. That is
I
what I am
completed.
telling. Those who are not attending, no problem. You can go to the NPTEL portal, then log into your farm machinery course. Then in the
Okay,
course where you will see videos of all the weeks, right? And
okay, sir.
in the below there is a link called problem solving session. When you will open this, there you can get the link of the videos as well as the slide. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for this
Okay,
help.
Okay. So let me back to the class. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the tractor, and this is top view and side view. You can see the at the behind, these are the hitch system, and you can see in the top view you can see two hitches. So these two hitches are the lower links. Okay, two lower links. One is the right lower link, and one is the left lower link. And here in the side view you can see again two hitches. This is the top link, and this bottom is representing two lower link, because we are viewing it from one side. Okay, so in the tractor there are three links. One is top link, and other two is lower links. Okay, three link system. That is why we were talking about 3-point hitch system. Okay, so this is the tractor and hitch. Yeah, in tractor there are two important terms that you should know. One is the wheel base, and another one is the wheel tread. So what is the wheel base? Wheel base is the distance from the front axle to the rear axle. That distance is known as wheel base. And what is the wheel tread? Wheel tread is the distance between the distance between the center of the two rear wheels. Okay, so again I am repeating, there are two terms. One is wheel base, one is wheel tread. Wheel base is the distance of the front axle to the rear axle, and wheel tread is the distance between the center of the right wheel to the center of the left wheel. Okay, so this is about wheel base and wheel tread. The other specification you can see here. I am not going to detail. Yeah, now these are the components of the hitch system. Okay, so you can see here there are two diagrams. One is at the left, and one is at the right. So at the left, that is for tractor. Okay, and at the right, this is for implement. Okay, so the tractor, you can see one is the upper link, this is the upper one. Okay, one is the upper link, this is the upper link. Okay, second is the lower links. Lower links means, I have already told you, there are two lower links. So one is the right lower link, one is the left lower link. Okay, third is the upper hitch point. The rearmost point of the link is known as hitch point. Okay, that is connected to the implement. So this third point is the this third point is the upper hitch point, and this fourth point are the lower hitch points. Okay, then hitch point. Then there is link point. Okay, link point is the point at which the okay, someone is joining. Okay, so hitch point is clear. I hope hitch point is clear. Now link points. The link where it is joined with the tractor, that point is called link points. Okay, again I am repeating, the point at which the link is joined to the tractor, that point is called your link point. Okay, so this fifth point is the upper link point, and this sixth point is the this and there is another link point that is not shown, but this and there will be another link point that are lower link point. Okay, now here you can see this figure is known as matched, and this is connected with the implement. Okay, so implement, again you can see 7 is the upper hitch attachment. So this is a hitch attachment. So what we do is, we take out this hitch attachment, we connect it with this link point, and then when it is linked, we connect this matched. Okay, so by this we connect this top link. Similarly, we connect this lower link by linch pins. There are pins called linch pins. So we just connected this this hitch lower hitch points to this adjustment, and to this lower link adjustment, and we give the linch point. This 10 is the linch point, this are the linch point. Okay, and by this we are connecting our hitch of the tractor with hitch of the implement. Okay, so is this clear? Is this thing clear?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nice. So we will move to the mechanics of tractor implements. Okay. So mechanics of tractor implement. First, we will be studying tractor in static condition. What is the static condition? Static condition means the tractor is at rest. And second point, the pull of the tractor is zero. Means no implement is attached with the tractor. Okay, the tractor is not moving and no implement is attached with the tractor. So studying this, you can see this is the CG of the tractor. This is marked in circle. This is the CG of the tractor. Okay, and WT is the total weight of the tractor. Now, whenever you know in physics, whenever we give force to any substance, we receive a reaction. Okay, so whenever the tractor is at a static condition on the ground, it will be receiving two reactions. Okay, one reaction RF, that is the reaction at the front wheel, and the reaction RR, that is the reaction at the rear wheel. Okay, and L1 is the distance between the CG and this and the center of the rear wheel. Okay, L1. And what is L? I have earlier diagram I have told you, this wheelbase. Okay, wheelbase, the distance between the front axle to the distance between the front and the rear axle is known as wheelbase. Okay, so this capital L is the
Sir,
wheelbase.
one question is
Yes,
previous slide.
yes,
slide.
yes.
12 number is mast and mast type. What
Yeah, yeah. This whole thing is called mast. Okay, this thing is actually connected with the implement. Okay, this is connected with the implement, and this part is your tractor. Okay, so if I one
is
minute, yeah, if I divide this part is the tractor side and this part is the implement side. Okay, so every implement has one mast. Okay, you can see a cultivator or any implement, cultivator or moldboard plow or disc plow, anything that has a mast. Okay, so this side is known for the implement side, and this is for the tractor side. Is this clear?
clear.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, static condition. So I hope these terms are clear, and this P is the pull. Okay, so again this P will have two component, one the horizontal component and one is the vertical component. If this is the angle alpha, there is an angle alpha here, so the horizontal component will be P cos alpha and the vertical component will be P sin alpha. Okay, so yeah, but here you can see when we are discussing the static condition, that this pull is zero. Okay, so when the pull will be zero, there will be no horizontal component of pull or no vertical component of pull, because pull is zero. Okay, so now our duty is to resolve these forces. Okay, anywhere in physics or anywhere in mechanics, when we have forces, we try to resolve these forces. Okay, so resolving these forces, we consider two things. One is force and another one is movement. Okay, so the sum of forces as well as sum of movement at any direction will be zero, as this is a static condition. Okay, so you can see this is a force equation, that is sigma v equals to 0, means the vertical forces the sum of vertical forces will be 0. Okay, so by sum I am telling you algebraic sum, means I am also considering direction. Okay, so you can see the forces at the downward direction is taken as positive, or WT. Okay, so what are the forces in the downward direction? You have only one force in the downward direction, that is WT, and we have two forces in the upward direction, that is RR and RF. So if I can write WT, okay, minus R minus RF equals to 0. So this is your force equation, equilibrium of force equation. Okay, WT minus RR minus RF equals to 0. This if you can take minus RR and minus RF on this side, you will get this equation. Okay, similarly there is an equation for movement. Okay, why movement is there? Because there are forces acting on it. Okay, So movement, you can movement is what? Movement is, you can think of movement as torque. Okay, so what is torque? Torque is R cross F. Okay, the distance into force. So so what are the three forces we have? We have three forces, WT, RF and RR. So whenever we are taking movement, what we are doing is we are taking movement at a particular point. So in this equation we are taking movement at this point. Okay, so let me mark as D. Okay, so we are taking movement at D. Okay, so whenever we are taking movement at this point or D, you can see movement is what? Again movement is, you can think of movement as torque. Okay, so torque is what? R cross F, means distance into the force acting on it. Okay, so if we are taking movement on a D point and we are taking movement for this RR, so there is a force RR but there is no distance because we are taking movement here. So RR into 0 is 0. Okay, now this movement. Okay, so movement, you can see movement whenever we take, actually this is a vector quantity. Okay, torque equals to R vector cross F vector. Okay, so whenever we are taking movement we have to consider direction. Okay, so the direction always start from the the point where we are taking movement. Okay, so for this distance D, you can see is C. Okay, DC, for this distance DC the movement will be like this. Okay, this is the R D C, this is the RDC. Okay, RDC, because we are always taking the distance direction where the starting point of the distance direction will be where we are taking the movement. So this is RDC. Now where our force is coming? That is coming here, WT. Okay, so you can you all know the right hand thumb rule. So whenever you are taking the right hand thumb rule, it is R cross WT, means the moment is going inside the plane. Okay, inside your whiteboard or inside your plane. So that is RDC. What is RDC? RDC is L1. Okay, so actually this moment is L1 into WT. Okay, and it is going in inside direction. Okay, inside the board. Okay, this is going inside the board. Now another force, that is RF. Okay, RF again you will take distance DO2. So so DO2 into RF, but here see the direction. Yeah, this DO2 is what? Nothing but L. Okay, this L into yeah, and the reaction is at upward direction. Okay, RF. So whenever we are taking the moment, right hand thumb rule, L in R cross F. Okay, so L into RF, so that will be outside the plane of the board. Okay, so that is why this moment will be L into RF, and that is outside the plane of the board. Okay, so one force is inside the plane of the board, one moment is inside the plane of the board, one moment is outside the plane of the board. So whenever you will take the moment, you will consider one as plus, another as minus. So if I am consider this as plus, I have to consider this as minus, and I will be giving 0. So this is your equation, that is L1 into WT. You can see L1 into WT minus RF into L. Okay, so this is your second moment equation. So is this clear, this part, forces and
Yes,
movement?
sir. Clear, sir.
Any doubt you can ask? Anyone, if any doubt you can ask again. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all. So I'm erasing this. Okay. Now second condition. Second condition is when the implement is not under static condition. Okay, so this is not under static condition. Okay, means under dynamic condition. This is not static. This is dynamic. Okay, this is dynamic conditions. See, so in dynamic condition you can see the difference between here and here. Here there is no implement attached, but here there is a implement attached. Also here the tractor is at rest, here the tractor is at motion. So again you will resolve all these forces and pull, like I have told you in the first diagram. Same you have to do. Same is you have to do again. You have to balance forces, again you have to balance moment. Two things you have to balance. But here you can, what is the changes from this diagram to this diagram? You can see the here the reaction at the rear wheel as well as front wheel is at the center of the wheels, but here the reaction is not at the center. You can see some eccentricity here. Okay, some eccentricity here also, some eccentricity here also. Why? Because the tractor is connected with an implement. Okay, so because of this eccentricity, now there is also a movement here also, because whenever you will be taking movement at the center of the wheel, here this force will also generate some movement. Okay, and this force will definitely generate some movement, and this total weight of tractor, this will also generate some movement. Now this implement will also generate some movement, because it has two components, right? One is this P cos alpha and another is this P sin alpha. So it will also generate this movement. So whenever you can do this at home, by even you can see the lecture videos there, it will be more clear. So again you will be resolving the movement same way like this one, and you will get all this equation. So is this clear for now? What is the difference between static and dynamic condition? Is this clear? Okay, Neha is telling yes. Any doubt? Okay, so I'm assuming no doubt. So let's move on to this next topic called traction. So now we have studied the hitch, we have studied some part of mechanics. Now we will be telling this topic called traction. So what is this term traction? So it is derived from a Latin word called trahere. So trahere means to draw or to pull. Okay, so traction, it is a tractive force developed because of the interaction between traction device. What are the traction device of the tractor? That are wheels. Okay, wheels, or even we can operate with tracks, but now as of now we are considering wheels only. Okay, wheels and the soil. So to move the vehicle and the implement. So again I am repeating, what is traction? It is a force. Okay, why this force comes into play? Because there is an interaction between this tire and the soil. Okay, and this interaction has a tractor to move the implement. Okay, so this is the thing called traction. So okay, let me move this. Okay, so this you can see, this is your tire, this is the normal load that is acting on it, and because of when it will move, this tire will generate some torque. Okay, now whenever it is generating some torque, it is generating some torque to pull a implement. Okay, so that is denoted by P, pull P. Okay, now because of this this axial torque, there will be a thrust developed between this tire and the soil. Okay, that thrust, it is denoted by H. Okay, and this thrust, what this thrust do? This thrust will do two things. One, it will overcome motion resistance or rolling resistance. What is this motion resistance? You can think motion resistance very similar to friction. Okay, whenever you are sliding anything, as friction will come into it, right? So in this traction, whenever you are rotating your tire on a wheel, a force will come into play that will try to that will try to resist the motion of the tire. That force is known as motion resistance. And second, what this thrust force will do, this will be overcoming this pull. Okay, so again I am repeating, there is a force called thrust. And why this thrust? Because of axial torque. Okay, axial ax torque. Okay, this thrust is because of axial torque. Okay, and this thrust will this thrust will take two forces into account. One, it will overcome the motion resistance. This is the motion resistance, MRR. Okay, motion resistance. This you can you can think very similar to friction. And another thing is it will overcome the pull of the implement. Okay, so H equals to R plus P. Okay, so is this part clear? H equals to R plus P. Hello. Okay, so I hope it is clear. So again I am repeating. So because of this axial torque, there is a force generated called thrust. Okay, this thrust we are denoting by H, and this will do two things. One, it will overcome the rolling resistance or motion resistance R. Okay, and second, it will overcome the pull of the implement. Okay, pull. So you can see in the diagram, this thrust is acting in right direction, and it is taking two forces into account. One is pull, and another one is motion resistance. So H equals to R plus P. So this is important. Now what are the factors that is affecting the traction? So we study this by Coulomb's equation. And what is this Coulomb's equation? F equals to AC plus W tan phi. So what is this F? This is your thrust force. Okay, total tractive force or thrust force. This is your this is your F. Okay, this is your F, or you can also denote it by H. So what is this H equals to? H equals to A into C plus W tan phi. Now what is this A? A is the contact area of tire with respect to ground, or you can say area of footprint of the tire. Okay, or contact area of the tire to the ground. Okay, this is A. Now what is this C? C is cohesion force of the soil. Okay, every soil has a force that there are two forces. One is adhesion and second one is cohesion. Okay, so cohesion, the force between similar particle is known as cohesion. The forces between some different particle, one particle and another type of particle, is known as adhesion. Okay, so here this force is cohesion force in the soil. That is the force that is acting between two similar soil particles. So that is C. Okay, plus W tan phi. What is the W? W, that is the weight coming on the tire, and tan phi, that is the tangent of angle of internal friction. Again, internal friction is a soil property. So in this equation you can see we have there is one output, that is the thrust or F. Okay, so this H or F equals to, there are four inputs. One is A, second is C, third is W, and fourth is phi. Okay, now this you can see this A and W. Okay, I am marking this A and W. A is the area of the tire footprint, and W is the weight that is coming on the tire. So this A and W are machine parameters. Okay, again I am telling, this A and W are machine parameters. Now what about this C and phi? C is the cohesion of the soil, phi is the angle of internal friction of the soil. This C and phi are the, again I am marking this C and this phi. C and phi are the soil parameters. Okay, so this A and W are the machine parameters, C and phi are the soil parameters. Okay, so is the Coulomb's equation clear to all of you? Is Coulomb's equation clear to you? Okay, so I am assuming this Coulomb's equation is clear to all of you. Okay. Okay, so I hope this Coulomb's equation is clear to all of you. Now this Coulomb's equation, when we are telling about soil parameters, this Coulomb's equation works on two types of soil. One is cohesive soil and there is adhesive soil. So what is the meaning of cohesive soil and what is the meaning of adhesive soil? Cohesive soil means this phi equals to 0. So when this phi equals to 0, your F will be equals to AC. That means your total thrust force or this H will be dependent only on one machine parameter, that is area, contact area of the tire. And whenever we are telling about this and second type of soil is adhesive soil, and in case of adhesive soil this C equals to 0, so F will be equal to W tan phi. Okay, so in case of adhesive soil, your we have only one machine parameters, that is W. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, so I am assuming this is clear to all of you. Now we are okay. Let me erase this. Okay, so now we will be studying types of wheels and their mechanics. Okay, so types of wheels, there are 4 types of wheels. Okay, one is stout wheel, second is driving wheel, third is self-propelled wheel, and 4 is braked wheel. So what is this stout wheel? Now in a tractor, whenever you are seeing a tractor, okay, this is a tractor. One thing that I want to tell about the tractor, whatever the tractor here you are seeing is a 2-wheel drive tractor. What is the meaning of 2-wheel drive tractor? That means the power is only coming on 2 wheels. Which are the 2 wheels? The rear wheels. There is no power that is coming on the front wheel. Okay, 2-wheel drive tractor. That means the power is coming only on the rear wheels. Okay, so that is a 2-wheel drive tractor. Now for this 2-wheel drive tractor, the front wheels are towered wheels. Okay, the front wheels, as these wheels are not driven or does not have any power, so this type of wheels are known as towered wheels. So example of towered wheels are front wheel of a 2-wheel drive tractor. Okay, now driving wheels. Now again the same tractor, the rear wheels are driven wheels. Why the rear wheels are driven wheels? Because it is receiving some power from the engine. So that is why the rear wheels are drive wheels. There are other 2 types of wheel. One is called self-propelled wheel and another is called braked wheel. What is a self-propelled wheel? Self-propelled wheel is a wheel that has 0 pull. So any you can say about any car or any bus, those type of wheels, the rear wheels are called self-propelled wheels. The feature of self-propelled wheels, it has power, there is some P, but it does not have any pull. Okay, there is no pull. You can see any rear wheels of a bus, it has no pull, it is not pulling any implement like tractors. Okay, like tractor, it is not pulling any implement, so that type of wheel is known as self-propelled wheel. Okay, any transport wheel of power tiller or any machine, any transport wheel which is not connected to any implement, that is self-propelled wheel. The 4th wheel is called braked wheel. In case of braked wheel, there is torque, there is pull, but the thing is about braked wheel is the torque is acting in opposite direction. And the example of one of the brake wheel is ground wheel of seed drill. Okay, so whenever you are seeing the ground wheel of a seed drill is a machine that is an implement that we will learn in the coming class. So in this seed drill, your wheels will be in opposite, wheels will be moving in opposite direction, or torque is less than 0. Torque is in opposite direction to the motion. Okay, so again I am repeating, there are 4 type of wheels: towered wheels, driving wheels, self-propelled wheels, and brake wheels. So about towered wheels, uh, about towed wheels, those are wheels that has zero torque or zero power. Okay, so like your front wheels of your tractor, it has zero torque, zero power. Okay, so that are towed wheels. Driving wheels, those have torque and power, like rear wheels of your tractor. Now self-propelled wheels, self-propelled wheels have torque, but it does not pull any implement, like any wheel of your bus, car, or any implement, any vehicle that is not pulling any implement. The wheel which has torque, that wheel is known as self propelled wheel. And fourth is the brake wheel. Brake wheel means uh, brake wheel means it has torque, it is also it has torque, but the torque is in opposite direction to the motion of the vehicle. Okay, so is this clear, the four types of wheels? So is this clear to all of you, the four type of wheels, guys? Any doubt about this slide? This is one of the important slide. Any doubt?
Self-propelled wheel, sir. Again, explain
Yeah,
it.
self-propelled wheel. So have you understood the towed wheel and driving wheel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, self-propelled wheel. Self-propelled wheel, you can assume a tractor. Okay, the rear wheels of a tractor. It has torque because the rear wheels are moving with some power, so it has torque. Okay, but but imagine the tractor does not pull any implement, so pull is zero. Okay, pull is zero, it has torque, so that type of wheel is known as self propelled wheel. Or in simple terms, you can imagine the rear wheels of a bus. Okay, it has torque, it is moving, the rear wheels are moving, it has torque, but it is not pulling any implement, or pulling anything, so p is zero. Okay, so self propelled wheel means it has torque but it does not pull any implement, so that is self propelled wheel. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so brake wheel is clear. It has negative torque. Okay, torque in opposite direction. It has torque, but its torque is in opposite direction to the motion. Okay. Okay, so I hope all this is clear. Now moving on to the next slide, we will be studying some of the traction parameter. Earlier slide we have known what is traction. Now we will see some of the traction parameter. So basically there are 5 traction parameters that is very important whenever you will be attending any exam of farm machinery. This will be asked. The first traction parameter is travel reduction ratio, or very commonly we called it as slip. Okay, slip of the wheel. You must have heard people telling my wheel slipped. So what is this slip? Okay, so slip is nothing but reduction in distance traveled per unit time. Or what is distance traveled per unit time? That is speed. Okay, so slip is nothing but reduction in speed. Okay, reduction in speed is known as slip. Okay, so your actual speed is denoted by va. Okay, and vt is your theoretical speed. So if your wheel has not slipped, its velocity would have been vt, but now your speed, your wheel has slipped, so its velocity or speed is va. So slip percentage we denote is it as vt minus va by vt. Okay, that means your theoretical speed that must happen if your wheel has not slipped, minus your actual speed that has happened because your wheel has slipped, divided by theoretical speed that has happened, happened if your wheel has not slipped, into 100. Okay, vt minus va by vt into 100. So is this formula clear to all of you? What is slip percentage? Okay, so I hope this is clear. Next is motion resistance ratio. Motion resistance ratio or coefficient of rolling resistance. So in the previous slide I have told you your thrust takes into account two forces. One is rolling resistance and one is pull. Okay, so you can see here your direction of travel is this. Okay, this upper arrow is your direction of travel. So the rolling resistance will always act in the direction opposite to the direction of travel. So this R is your rolling resistance. Now we are concerned about the rolling resistance ratio. Okay, so rolling resistance ratio, also known as coefficient of rolling resistance, that is R by W. R is your rolling resistance and W is the dynamic weight that is coming on your wheel. So okay, so coefficient of rolling resistance is R, that is the rolling resistance, divided by W. W is the dynamic weight that is coming on your wheel. So this is the coefficient of rolling resistance. Third is net traction ratio. What is this net traction ratio? So why we are giving torque to our wheel? To pull an implement, right? So that pull is P, or we can also take it as Fx. Okay, because it is pull in the horizontal direction. Okay, so that is why it is denoted by Fx. Okay, so Fx divided by Wd is net traction ratio, that is NTR. Okay, net traction ratio, that is pull by you can also tell it as P, pull, but pull in the horizontal direction. Okay, pull by Wd, that is your net traction ratio, or NTR. Next one is gross traction ratio. What is this gross traction ratio? I have told you in the previous slide only, that whenever there is a torque that is coming on the axle, there will be a thrust force. Okay, thrust force is denoted by T or H, anything. So this thrust force. Okay, so gross traction ratio is this thrust force T by your dynamic weight that is coming on the wheel, that is thrust is T by Wd. And again I am telling you, this thrust force takes into account two other forces. One is pull and another one is rolling resistance, that is pull coming on the tractor and then rolling resistance. Okay, so thrust will be equal to pull plus rolling resistance. So yeah, so you can see this equation. This thrust is equal to pull by rolling resistance. Now if I divide by dynamic weight on both sides of this equation, so it will be equal to T by Wd equals to P by Wd plus R by Wd. Now what is this T by Wd? T by Wd is your gross traction ratio. Okay, or GTR. Now P by Wd is what? P by Wd is your net traction ratio, and plus R by Wd. What is R by Wd? R by Wd is your coefficient of rolling resistance. Okay, coefficient of rolling resistance. So we can say that this gross traction ratio is equal to your net traction ratio plus coefficient of rolling resistance. And our last one is tractive efficiency. So now what is this tractive efficiency? Tractive efficiency is your drawbar power divided by axle power. Drawbar power, the power in pulling your equipment. Okay, and axle power, the power that is coming on the axis of your wheel. Okay, so that efficiency is known as tractive efficiency. Again, you know, in this universe nothing is ideal. Okay, as nothing is ideal, the input power will not be equal to your output power. The output power will always be less than your input power. So again, efficiency is what? Output by input. So output is your drawbar power, the power required to pull your implement, and input power is your axle power, the power that is coming on the axle. Now if I simplify this, so drawbar power is what? Pull of the implement into actual velocity of the implement. So P into VA. And what is this axle power? Axle power, the torque that is coming on the wheel into omega. Omega is what? Omega is angular velocity of the wheel, T into W. Now if I multiply R with this W, if I torque into W. Now if I divide this torque as thrust force into R, that I can do, because torque is what? Torque is some force into radius. Okay, torque is force into radius. Okay, so this torque I am dividing it into thrust into radius. Okay, thrust force into radius. And yeah, so this, what is this radius into omega? Radius into omega is your theoretical speed. So your tractive efficiency will be equal to pull by thrust into Va by Vt. Now you can see from this equation, your S equals to 1 minus Vt by Vt is what? 1 minus Va by Vt. Okay, 1 minus Va by Vt. Now what is Va by Vt? Va by Vt equals to 1 minus S. Simple, 1 minus S. So if we replace this Va by Vt into 1 minus S, so your tractive efficiency will be equal to pull by your thrust force into 1 minus your slip. So this is the tractive efficiency formula. So is this slide clear to all of you? Any doubt in this slide? Any doubt in this slide? You can ask. Again I am repeating, there are 5 traction parameter. One is slip, second is coefficient of rolling resistance, third is net traction ratio, fourth is gross traction ratio, fifth is tractive efficiency. So what is slip? Slip is percent reduction of your speed. Okay, so whenever there is a slip, there is a reduction in speed. Okay, so your actual speed, your theoretical speed is Vt and your actual speed is Va. So what is this slip? Slip is Vt minus Va divided by Vt into 100 if we want to denote our slip in percentage. Okay, so that is our first tractive parameter. What is our first traction parameter? What is our second traction parameter? Our second traction parameter is coefficient of rolling resistance. Okay, so whenever your tire will be interacting with the soil and move in a forward direction, there will be a force called rolling resistance or motion resistance that will try to hold your tire at same point, or that force will be acting in opposite direction to your direction of travel. That force is known as rolling resistance or motion resistance. So what is this coefficient of rolling resistance? Coefficient of rolling resistance is rolling resistance divided by dynamic weight that is coming on the tire. Okay, that is your second traction parameter. What is the third traction parameter? Third traction parameter is your net traction ratio. So why we are applying torque to our tire? To pull a implement. So that pull divided by the dynamic weight that is coming on the tire, that is known as net traction ratio. Now what is this gross traction ratio? Due to this torque that is coming on the tire, there will be a thrust that is acting on the tire and the soil. Okay, so that thrust divided by the dynamic weight of your tire, the dynamic weight that is coming on the tire, that is known as gross traction ratio. Now this formula I have already told you, that is thrust will be equal to pull plus rolling resistance. So if we divide with dynamic weight Wd on both the side of the equation, that will be equal to T by Wd equals to P by Wd plus R by Wd. So what is T by Wd? T by Wd is a gross traction ratio, GTR. P by Wd is your net traction ratio, NTR. And R by Wd is your coefficient of rolling resistance. Okay, now last parameter is our tractive efficiency. What is this tractive efficiency? It is drawbar power divided by axle power into 100%. Okay, now drawbar power, the power required to pull the implement, that is drawbar power. Axle power, the power that is coming on the tire due to the torque of the tire. Okay, so that is okay, so and that is axle power. Okay, so 1 minute. Yeah, so that is axle power. So tractive efficiency will be equal to drawbar power by axle power into 100%. And if we simplify this, we can get to, it is equal to pull by thrust into 1 minus S. The S is the slip in decimals. So is this clear to all of you? Is this slide? Yeah, Amol, any doubt? in this slide?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, so I hope this slide is clear to all of you. Yeah. Yeah, so let's move on to our next topic. What is our next topic? Our next topic is combination tillage. Okay. Now we have done with the tractor part. We have done with the tire and soil interaction. Now we are moving on to the next topic, that is combination tillage. So why this combination tillage comes into account? Because we have seen that currently we are using tractor of heavy power, but the power required to pull the implement or to work the implement is less, so there is a wastage of power. Tractor has more power but implement is using less power, so there is a wastage of power. So because of this wastage of power, this combination tillage comes into account. So what is this combination tillage? Basically we are tillage, I have told you in the previous class what is tillage. Now combination tillage, if you are using two different types of implements for tillage, that type of tillage is known as combination tillage. You can see in this diagram, this is a disc harrow and this is your moldboard plow. So this is a combination tillage implement. Now second diagram you can see, this is cultivator. Okay, you can see this time, this is a cultivator. Okay, and beside this you can see this is a disc harrow. Again we are combining two types of tillage implements. So again combination tillage. This diagram, okay, this diagram you can see, this front thing is a cultivator. Okay, cultivator, rigid tine cultivator. Okay, and the implement at the back, that is rotavator. Okay, so again we are combining two types of tillage implements. So again this is a combination tillage. Okay, so what is the definition of the combination tillage? In which tillage in which one or more different tillage implements are operated in the same time. Why we are operating in the same time? In order to manipulate the soil and reduce number of time of field operation. Okay, in the previous class I have told you there is a primary tillage, there is a secondary tillage. Now this combination tillage is doing what? It is combining two types of tillage. For example, in a land we required both this disc harrow as well as cultivator, but what is this combination tillage is doing? In one time it is operating both this disc harrow as well as cultivator also. So this is a combination tillage. Okay, now this combined tillage involves both passive and active working implements. So this combination tillage can also have passive and active implements. Okay, also passive, also active. Okay, so this you can see, this is a disc harrow, this is a MB plow. Both disc harrow and both MB plow are your passive implements. What is passive implements? Passive implements means the power is not directly coming from the tractor. Okay, what is active implement? The power of the working element is coming directly from the tractor. So this rotavator is your active implement. Rotavator, you can see, in rotavator the blades are operated by tractor PTO power. Okay, so this rotavator is an active implement, and this ridge-tine cultivator is your passive implement. So it is combination of active and passive. This diagram here you can see, cultivator, disc harrow, both are passive. Here you can see disc harrow, MB plow, this also are passive. So combination tillage can act between passive active and active also. Okay, so this is the theory about combination tillage. Now what are the advantage? As we are doing the operation of two type of implement at one go, we are doing a timeliness operation. Okay, second is we are reducing number of field operation. Again we are reducing number of field operation because at one go we are operating with both type of implement. Second, lower draft and specific work equipment. So see, if there is only one equipment, like if there is only one MB plow, so the force required to till the soil will be more for this MB plow. But now there is a MB plow and there is a disc plow. Now if the disc plow is operated in front of the MB plow, the draft that is coming on this MB plow will be less, because this disc plow is already doing this, already tilling the soil first, okay, and then the MB plow is coming into action. So it will lower draft and specific work requirement, okay. Second, it will reduce specific fuel consumption. It will reduce the specific fuel consumption, because your tractor is only coming, your tractor is only operating only once, okay. So it is reducing specific fuel consumption. Last is better soil pulverization. As we are going with two equipments, so one equipment the soil pulverization is doing, second equipment it is aiding to it, okay. So soil pulverization will be more for this type of implements. So is this slide clear to all of you? What is combination tillage? What are the advantages of it? Any doubt in this slide? Yeah, I hope it is clear. Okay, I am assuming this is clear, because it is very easy. Again, I am giving you a summary what I have told. Combination tillage, it is a combination of two type of tillage implement at one go, okay. So at one go we are using more than one type of tillage implement, that is combination tillage. Why we are doing it? Because we want to reduce the number of field operation. Second, we want to have timeliness of operation. Third, you can see we want to have better specific fuel consumption. Fourth, you can say we want to have better soil pulverization, because we are using two type of equipment, so our soil pulverization will be more. So this is about combination tillage, okay. Now I will be moving on to the next topic, that is laser guided land leveler. This is our last topic, then we will be discussing some of the question. So what is a laser? Laser, you must have heard about laser. Laser, the full form of laser is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation, okay. So a laser is a device that emits light through a process of optical amplification based on stimulated emission of electromagnetic radiation. So that is the definition of laser. Now the equipment that we are using is laser guided land leveler, okay. So what is the function of this laser guided land leveler? So by the name you can make out leveler. Leveler means it is a device, it is an implement that is used for smoothing of land surface from its average elevation using laser equipped drag bucket, okay. So this is the full definition, okay. So if how this laser guided leveler works, so we have to look into the components of laser guided land leveler. So this back implement is called laser guided land leveler, and front it is powered by a tractor. You can see this is a tractor, and this is the control unit of the laser guided land leveler. Here is a control unit. I don't know if you can see or not, but here the control unit is generally mounted on the tractor, okay. Now there is a bucket. This is known as bucket. This do the main operation of the laser guided land leveler. This green part of this laser guided land leveler, that is known as bucket, and this do the main operation of this leveling operation, okay. This is a hydraulic cylinder, okay. This is the hydraulic cylinder. Now this is the tripod to have transmitter, laser transmitter. This is the laser transmitter, okay. And laser transmitter, there is a rod connected in the laser guided land leveler, and at the above part of the rod there is a receiver, okay. This is the receiver. So how the laser guided land leveler work? Actually there will be a average elevation of field. Like this is a field, this is the average elevation, but your elevation in the field will be somewhere it will be more, somewhere it will be less, more, less, more. It will be like something like this, okay, something like this. Now what will be the laser guided land leveler do? See, it has a receiver, it has a transmitter, okay. The transmitter with the tripod is kept in a different field, okay. in that field where we don't want to level our field. So it is kept in that field where we don't want to level our field. Okay, so this transmitter, what it will do, it will be transmitting a signal. Okay, so by this transmitting by this signal transmitting, it will transmit the signal to the receiver. Okay, so when the signal will be received by receiver, the receiver will take care that it will only receive a signal that is smoother. Okay, that is already smoother. Okay, it will only receive those signal that is already smoother, other signal it will not receive. So when the receiver is receiving the signal, this signal will be going to the control unit. Okay, and what this control unit will do, this control unit will have different controls. So this control unit will send a signal to this hydraulic cylinder. Okay, so what this hydraulic cylinder will do, hydraulic cylinder will contract and retract. So whenever the hydraulic cylinder will contract, the bucket will lift up. Where the bucket will lift up, wherever there is less elevation. So bucket will lift bucket will lift up when there is less elevation. Okay, so to smoothen the soil. And whenever the hydraulic cylinder will retract, okay, whenever the hydraulic cylinder will retract, the bucket will be lowered down. So when the hydraulic cylinder will when the bucket will lower down, when there is more elevation. So by this process your land will be smoother. So is this clear? Is this slide clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move on to the question now. So this is a week 2 assignment. This is not week 1 assignment. These are the topics that will be covered for week 2 assignment. Okay, so first is your tractor his system. Second, we will be dealing with mechanics of tractor. Third is traction. Fourth is combination tillage. Fifth is laser guided land leveler. So again I am requesting everyone, so as we will be starting our question answer session, I want everyone to participate in the discussion. If you don't want to tell the answer, you can write in chats, but everyone please guess the answer. If you know the answer, tell it. If you don't know the answer, also guess it. Okay, guess the answer, participate in the discussion. Okay, so that is my request to all of you. So first question. Yeah, so first question, which of the following tractor implement his system is used to attach the semi mounted type implements? So A is 3 point hitch, B is 2 point hitch, C is 1 point hitch, D is none of the above. So any guesses for this?
2 point.
Sir, 3 point hitch.
Yeah, someone is telling 3, someone is telling 2. So let me go to the first slide again, it will be more clear. Yeah, so we have 3 type of hitch. Okay, one is single point hitch, second is 2 point hitch, and 3 point hitch. Okay, so single point hitch, what it do, it will take care of the trailer type implement. Okay, trailer type implement. 2 point hitch, what it will do, it will take care of the semi mounted implement. And 3 point hitch, what it will do, it will take care of the mounted type implements. Okay, so what has been asked in the question? In the question it is asked 2 point it is asked for semi mounted, right? Yeah, it is asked for which of the following is system? Yeah, it is asked for semi mounted type implement. So semi mounted type, the type of hitch used is 2 point hitch system. Okay, so your answer is B. Okay, so is this clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it is a easy question. Your single point hitch, it is used for trailer. 2 point for hitch for semi mounted, that is has been asked in the question. 3 point hitch is used for mounted type implement. So your correct answer is B. So let's move on to the next question, that is according to ASAE standard, the maximum drawbar power of 3 point hitch system with category second implement is given by? Any guesses for this?
Answer is A.
Yeah,
135 to
yeah,
300 kilowatt.
Okay, someone is telling A. Any other guesses? Okay, so in ASAE, that part I have not covered, but that has been asked in the question. So let me cover it. Yeah, so let me cover it. So we are dividing the tractor into four types. Okay, based on the maximum drawbar power available. Okay, so category 1 tractor, that the drawbar power is between 15 to 35 kilowatt. Okay, that we call as category 1 tractor. Category 2 tractor, your drawbar power is between 30 to 75 kilowatt. Your category third and tractor, that is 60 to 168 kilowatt, and category 4 tractor, that is 135 to 300 kilowatt. Okay, so here it is asked in the question category second implements. Okay, so category second implements, that is power is between 30 to 75 kilowatt. So your correct answer is answer C, option C. Okay, so is this clear?
Okay.
Okay, so let me
Yes, sir.
okay, nice. So let me move to the third question. So it has been asked here, a tractor has a total weight of 134. It is a numerical question. Okay, so a tractor has a total weight 134 kilonewtons. So that is WT. So this data is WT. Okay, 134 kilonewton, and a wheelbase of 3340 millimeter. Wheelbase is capital L. Okay, so now if the static weight on the rear axle is 67 kilonewton, static weight on the rear axle means it is given r r. Okay, rr is given 67 kilometer. Then tractor is two wheel drive tractor, four wheel drive tractor. C is data insufficient, or D is none of the above. Okay, so let me tell you how we can solve this problem. So I have already told you your total weight WT will be equal to RR plus RF. Okay, so RR, your WT is given, that is 134 kilonewton. Your R is also given, RR is given, that is 67 kilonewton. Okay, so you can find out RF, you can find out. Okay, so RF will be equal to yeah, it is, I think, calculation mistake. No, it is okay. 67. Okay, so RF will be equal to 67 kilonewton. Okay, so again I am telling your WT is acting in downward direction. WT will be equal to RR plus RF. RR and RF are acting in upward direction. So WT will be equal to RR plus RF. Here WT is given, that is 134 kilonewton. R is given, that is 67 kilonewton. Now what is this RF? RF we can calculate. RF is 67 kilonewton. So that we have find out. But here the question asks this different. What is the question asked? The question asks this: what is the type of tractor? Okay. So here we can see that RF and RR are equal. RF is also 67 kilonewton. RR is also 67 kilonewton. So this is the characteristics of a four-wheel drive tractor. Okay, this is a particular characteristics of a four-wheel drive tractor. So what in four-wheel drive tractor, your RR and RF will be 50%. Okay, approximately 50%. So that type of tractor is known as four-wheel drive tractor. Whenever your RR will be equal to RF will be equal to 50% of weight of or 0.5 WT, that is the characteristics of a four-wheel drive tractor. Okay, for two-wheel drive tractor, this is RR. Okay, RR equals to RF equals to 0.5 WT. That is a particular characteristics of a four-wheel drive tractor. In case of two-wheel drive tractor, your RR is approximately 0.35 WT, and RF will be RF will be equal to 0.35 WT, and RR will be equal to 0.65 WT. So that is a characteristics of a two-wheel drive tractor. So here, as RF and RR both is coming same, and that is 0.5 WT. So this type of tractor is four-wheel drive tractor. So your correct answer is B. So is this question clear to all of you? Is this question clear? Any doubt? Kindly please ask.
Sir, tell me two-wheel drive tractor. Then
Yeah, two-wheel drive tractor. In case of two-wheel drive tractor, generally R will be equal to 0.65 WT and RF equals to 0.35 WT. Okay, so this is the characteristics of a two-wheel drive tractor. RR will be equals to 0.565T approximately. It can be little here and there, but approximately your RR will be 0.65 WT and RF will be 0.35 WT. But in this question you can see your RR and RF is equal to 0.5 WT. Your RR is what? 67 kilonewton, that is equal to 0.5 into WT, that is 134 kilonewton. Okay, similarly RF is also 67 kilonewton, that is 0.5 into WT. So this is the characteristics of a four-wheel drive tractor. So your correct answer is B. Okay.
okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Free link operation is advantageous over restrained link operation with regard to: A is uniform depth of operation, B is greater tractive ability, C is uniform speed of operation, and D is none of the above. Yeah, Agri 15 Gotham is asking, sir, if dynamic weight is given, what we do? Yeah, if dynamic weight is given, what we do? Okay, so if dynamic weight is given, see, dynamic weight you can classify it with dynamic weight. Dynamic weight only comes into picture when there is a implement attached with your tractor. Okay, so in case of dynamic weight, it can vary. Like your what in case of dynamic weight, what happens is there is a weight transfer from from the front wheels to the rear wheels, because there is more weight in the rear wheel. Implement is attached here, so there is more weight at the rear side. That is why there is a weight transfer from the front wheel to the rear wheel. Okay, so in case of dynamic weight you can't decide, as static weight is given, so therefore you can decide this question. Okay. Okay, now this question, the free link operation is advantageous over restrained link operation with regard to: A is uniform depth of operation, B is greater tractive ability, C is uniform speed of operation, or D is none of the above. Any guesses for this, or anyone?
Uniform depth of operation.
Uniform depth of operation. Any other guesses? Okay, so yeah, very right. Whoever had told, very right. So what happens in a free link operation is depth is controlled by a gauge wheel or supporting surfaces of the implement. Okay, the depth is not controlled by your tractor, as there is a free link operation. It is not directly linked. Okay, there is a free link operation. Okay, so in case of free link operation, you can also say this as semi mounted. So for this type of operation, you can say that it is not directly, your depth of the operation is not directly control your tractor. Your depth of the operation will be controlled by gauge wheels. Okay, gauge wheels or other supporting surface of the implement. Okay, so what is the advantages of the free link? It gives more uniform depth of operation. Okay, so your answer is A. Right answer is A. Okay, now if I compare it with this restrained link operation, where you are connected all the three links, so what happens here is that there is more load on the tractor, because already you have attached all the links of the implement with the link of the tractor, so it provides greater tractive ability. Why it provides greater tractive ability? Because the weight on the tractor is increased, so your tractive ability of the tractor will be increased, but there will be more depth of fluctuation for this type of implement. Okay, so depth of fluctuation will be more for this restrained link implements. Okay, restraint link operation rather I would say. So this is the advantages over free link over restraint link. Okay, so your right answer is A. So any doubt any doubt regarding this question? Any doubt? Okay, so I hope there is no doubt. So let me move to the next question. The ground wheel of a seed drill is an example of. This we have already studied. I want everyone to answer this. A is powered wheel, B is towed wheel, C is braked wheel, and D is self-propelled wheel. Yeah, Neha is telling C. Any other guesses? Yeah, agree. 15 Gautam is telling D. Okay, okay, nice. So yeah, I have already told you braked wheels. What is the characteristics of braked wheels? Braked wheel, there is a torque that is coming on the wheel, but the direction of torque is in opposite direction to the direction of motion. So torque is less than zero. So this is the characteristics of a braked wheel. Okay, this is the characteristics of braked wheel, and the example of braked wheel is ground wheel of a seed drill. Okay, ground wheel of a seed drill is an example of braked wheel. So your answer would be C. And regarding self propelled wheel, again I am repeating, there will be a torque, but there is no pull. The pull in case of self propelled wheel is zero. Okay, so that is the characteristic of a self-propelled wheel. Example of self-propelled wheel: the rear wheels of a bus, or rear wheels of a car, or rear wheels of any vehicle that is not pulling any implement. So that is an example of a self-propelled wheel. So is this question clear to all of you? Why it is not D? Why it is C? Okay, so I hope this is clear. So let me move to the next question. The center of resistance of a moldboard plow lies at a distance equal to. These are the three options. A is 1 by 4th of the size of plow from the shear wing. B is half the size of plow from the shear wing. C is 3 by 4th the size of plow from the shear wing. D is none of the above. So any guesses for this?
C answer 3 by 4 the size of the plow from
Yeah,
shear.
yeah, very good. Any other guesses? Anyone who wants to differ from this C guess? Okay. So let me tell you what is the center of resistance. First, we need to know this. So it is a point at which the resultant of horizontal and vertical forces act on the implement. Okay. So every implement has this center of resistance. What is this? You can also yeah. What is this center of resistance? It is the point at which resultant of horizontal and vertical forces act. So this for this moldboard plow, this center of resistance is at 3 by 4 the size of the plow from the shear wing. Okay, from the shear wing it is at 3 by 4 the size of the plow. Okay, this is by geometry, so nothing to explain, this you have to memorize it. So this is the C is the correct answer. Okay, so is this clear? What is center of resistance? That is more important than this question. So center of resistance, again I am repeating, it is a point at which the resultant of horizontal and vertical forces act. And for this MB plow, your center of resistance is at 3 by 4 the size of the plow from the shear wing. Okay, so is this clear? So I hope this is clear. So let me move to the next question. Okay, so again we got a numerical here. So what is this telling? It is telling a combination tillage implement. So let me highlight this first. Combination tillage. Okay, having a passive active tillage combination. So again I am again discussing this. A combination tillage can have everything, like passive can also be possible, passive active is also possible, and active active is also possible. But in this question what has been asked, we have been asked regarding a passive active tillage implement. Okay, operated at a speed 4 kilometer per hour. So speed is given. Okay, experiences a total draft of 10 kilonewton. Draft is also given. If the torque and peripheral speed of the active implement are 200 Newton meter and 240 RPM respectively, then power required by the prime mover. Prime mover means tractor, okay? What is moving your implement? So that is tractor, okay? So is given by, these are the 4 options given. So anyone who wants to tell how we should approach this question? So guys, what is the formula of power? Anyone? What is the formula of power?
Draw bar into speed.
What again, can you repeat? Yeah, so
So the formula is draw bar into speed also.
that is force into speed, okay? Power equals to force into V, okay? But that is for linear motion, okay? But when we have active tillage implement, it is also rotating. So for that active tillage implement, it is torque into angular speed, okay? So total power will be force into velocity plus torque into angular speed. So that is the total power, okay? So let me move to the slide. So yeah, someone has told power equals to force into F into V, okay? But we have passive plus active tillage implement, that is, this formula is applicable for only passive implement, okay? But we have an active implement, and for active implement it is torque into omega. This T is for torque, okay? This is for active implement, okay? So a combination passive plus active is force into velocity plus torque into angular speed, okay? So this is your power requirement, that is yeah, RC is the force into velocity plus torque into angular speed, okay? So RC or force, or you can see here draft is given as 10 kilonewton. So 10 into 1000, that is 10,000, okay? Into V is 4 kilometer per hour. Speed is given 4 kilometer per hour. So 4 kilometer per hour, we have to change the unit. We have to change from kilometer per hour to meter per second. So how we will change it? We will 1 kilometer equals to how many meter? 1000 meter, okay? 1000 meter. And 1 hour equals to 60 minutes, and 60 minute equals to 60 into 60, 1 minute equals to 60 seconds, right? 60 into 60 second, that is 3600 second, okay? So 1 hour equals to 3600 second, 1 kilometer equals to 1000 meter. So that is why we will change this 4 kilometer per hour to meter per second, that is 4 into 1000 divided by 3600. So that this part is for passive, okay? This part is for passive implement. And now we have to do for active implement. Active implement is torque into angular speed. So torque is given 200 Newton meter. So 200 we will write. Now this omega is not given, rather RPM is given. So omega equals to 2 pi n by 60, okay? This is the formula for angular speed, okay? Now in this question what has been given? This n is given, n or RPM is given. RPM is 240. So we will convert it to omega. Omega will be 2 into pi into this 240 divided by 60. So by this is our omega, this is omega, and this is our torque, okay? And this together, this is for your active tillage implement, okay? This is for active. So passive plus active, we will get the total power for the combined tillage implement, and that will be coming as 16.14 kilowatt. If you have calculator, you can check. Otherwise after the class also you can check. This answer will come, okay? 16.14 kilometer. So your answer will be B. So B is your correct answer. So is this clear how we have solved this problem? Is this
Okay,
clear?
sir.
Okay, so let me move to the next question. Again we have a numerical. In a two-wheel drive tractor, two-wheel drive tractor given, the static weight distribution, 30% and 70%. Previous question I have told you 35, right? 35 35% and 65% according to our previous question, right? One previous question I have told you approximately 35% and 65%. In this question it is given 30% 70%, so approximately it is equal to 35% and 65%. Okay, now if the total weight of the tractor is 16.5 kilonewton, now this total weight is given, that means WT is given, WT is given, and RF is given as 0.35 WT, R is given 0.65 WT. Okay, now wheel base is also given, that is 2250 millimeter, that is capital L is also given. Now what we have to find, we have to find the center of gravity, then the center of gravity of the tractor from the rear, that is we have to find the small one. So I have already told you in the, okay, let me move this. Yeah, I have already told you in this in the theory part that for this type of question we have to first balance the force, second we have to balance the momentum. So balancing of force is already done, because WT is equal to 0.35 your WT will be equal to RF plus RR, that is already given. Okay, WT is 0.35 WT plus 0.65 WT, so your force is already balanced. Now we have to balance the moment. Okay, so how we will balance the moment? Your balancing moment will be equal to your moment that is going into the page equal to moment that is coming out of the page. Okay, so this moment this WT, the force WT, this moment will be this okay, so yeah, so for this WT, yeah, WT is acting in this direction downward, and this RR is acting in this direction. Okay, this is L. Okay, small l, or here you can say as capital L1. Okay, L1 is acting in this direction, WT
கீழே போய் பார்த்துட்டு வரீங்களா?
WT. Okay, someone's mic is open, I think.
ஏய் ஒரு
Can you mute the mic, please?
உன்னை யார் பண்ண சொல்லுங்க, வர இரு வருவேன் இரு உங்களுக்கு.
Okay, so yeah, let me move to this question. Yeah, I was telling L1 into L1 into WT, right? So yeah, what is this movement? Movement is R cross F, right? So R cross F means L cross WT. So this movement will be going inside the page. Okay, and what about the other movement? Other movement is this RF into capital L. So RF into capital L. The capital L direction is this, and RF direction is opposite direction or upward direction. Okay, that is RF. So that movement will be going out of this plane. Okay, so that is why we can say RF or WF. RF into capital L equals to WT into X or L1. Okay, according to this diagram, this is L1. So by this we can find out X or L1. So X is coming 0.675 meter. So is this clear? Is this some clear? Is this some clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. So I hope this numerical is clear to all of you. That is, again I am telling, we have to just balance the momentum. We have to just balance the moment, not momentum. We have to balance the moment. So the moment that is going out of the page will be equal to moment that is coming inside the page. Okay, so inside the page that moment is L. That moment is L1 into WT, or this thing. Okay, the moment that is coming out of the page, that is L into RF, or here we can L1 into WT, this is this moment. Okay, and L into RF, this is this moment. Okay, So this two moment will be equal. Whenever we will equalize both this moment, we will get x or L1. Okay, this x or L1, and this is the answer. Okay, that is 0.675. So your correct answer is B. Okay, so let's move to the next question. In the free link operation, implement depth is controlled by A is gauge wheel, B is tractor draft control system, C is tractor 3-point hitch system, and D is tractor positioning control system. So what any guesses for this?
Gauge wheel, gauge wheel.
Yeah, gauge wheel. Any other guesses for this? Anyone who wants to differ from this guess? Okay, so yeah, this is very right answer. So in free link operation, your implement depth is controlled by gauge wheel or anything. Implement depth is mainly controlled by gauge wheel. Okay, so this is a free link operation. The advantage of free link operation, it gives a more uniform depth of operation than the restrained link operation. So this type of question we have already discussed in the previous I think sixth or seventh question, but again this question is given. So again I am telling, in free link operation, implement depth is controlled by this gauge wheel. So answer A will be your correct answer. So I hope there is no doubt regarding this question. Let me move to the next question. So in clay soil condition, traction on powered wheel of a tractor can be increased by A is adding dead weight on the wheels, B is decreasing surface area of the wheels, C is ballasting of the wheels, D is increasing surface area of the wheels. So any guesses for this? Any guesses for this question?
So what is the meaning of ballasting of wheel?
Yeah, ballasting of wheels means adding more weights to the wheels. Okay, inside the wheels, we in regular wheels, your wheels are filled up with air, right? But in ballasting, we filled your tire with water also. Okay, water also, or some other heavy equipment also, so that the total weight of the tire increases. That is known as ballasting of wheels. Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. See, you were telling. Any other guesses? Okay, so I hope there are no other guesses. So clay soil. So when let me take you back to the traction equation. There it will be more clear. Yeah. So traction equation. This is your traction equation. That is H equals to AC plus W tan phi. Okay. AC plus W tan phi. Here again I am telling, A and W are your machine parameters. Okay. A is the contact area of tire, W is the weight that is coming on the tire. Okay, so A and W are your machine parameter. C and phi are your soil parameters. Okay, C is the cohesion of the soil, phi is the angle of internal friction of the soil. Okay, the C and phi are your soil parameters. Okay, now in the question we have been asked about clay soil. Okay, now the property of clay soil is phi tends to 0. Okay, so this value will be equal to 0 because phi tends to 0, so tan phi equals to 0. So this portion will be equal to 0. So what is left for clay soil? F equals to AC. Okay, so for clay soil F equals to your AC. Okay, now in AC what is the machine parameter? C you cannot change because C is the soil parameter that you cannot change. So to increase the traction we have to play with A, or the area or the contact area of the tire. Okay, so let me move to the answer. Yeah, so in this question it has been asked for clay soil conditions. Clay soil condition, your F will be equal to AC. Again I am telling, F will be equal to AC, and this W tan phi cancel out. Why this W tan phi cancel out? Because this phi tends to 0. This phi tends to 0. That is why this W tan phi cancel out. Okay, so F equals to AC, and to increase the traction of the powered wheel you have to increase the A. A is the only machine parameter, so your correct answer will be A is incorrect, decreasing surface area is incorrect, we have to increase the surface area. C is incorrect because weight, we cannot play with weight, weight is 0, this term will be 0 for clay soil. And D is increasing surface area of the vase. So D is your correct answer. So your correct answer is D. Okay, so your correct answer is D. Okay, so is this thing clear? Is this thing clear? Yeah, I hope this thing is clear to all of you. So by this I am ending this week discussion. Okay, so I hope no doubt for today. Your assignment question will be similar to this, not same but similar to this. Okay, so please try your assignment questions with your own, because that I cannot tell. My duty is to make you practice questions similar to assignment question you have to do on yourself, because marking is there for your assignment questions. Okay, so is this clear, today's lecture?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so by this I am terminating the session for today. I hope you enjoyed the
So I
session.
have one doubt, sir.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
how
please.
the answer may be increasing the surface area of the wheels?
Yes, yes, last question, right? Okay, okay. So this Coulomb equation, you understood this Coulomb equation, F equals to AC plus W tan phi?
Yes, sir.
That is clear. So in this equation you have two things, okay, two parameter, two type of parameter. One is machine parameter, second is soil parameter. What are the soil parameter? C and phi are your soil parameters, okay, and A and W are your machine parameter. Up to this, is this clear? Up to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what has been asked in the question? It has been asked about clay soil condition. So the property of clay soil is this phi tends to 0. Okay, this phi value tends to 0. So if phi tends to 0, this tan phi tends to equal to 0. Okay, so your F will be equal to AC. This term will be eliminated. Okay, so as this term will be eliminated, so your F will be equal to AC. Up to this, is this clear? Up to this?
Yes, sir.
Up to this is it is clear. Okay, so up to this is clear. So C is a soil parameter that we cannot change. Okay, now for this for C we cannot change, we have to play with A. So how to increase F? We have to increase A. To increase F we have to increase A. So in this question it is asked for clay soil. So for clay soil we have to increase the surface area of the wheels in order to increase the traction. Okay, now you have
Okay, sir.
now you have asked for sand soil. So very interesting question. So for sandy soil what happens is this C tends to 0. Okay, for sandy soil C tends to 0. For sandy soil your equation will be F equals to W tan phi. So in sandy soil you have to increase your W. Okay, how you will increase your W? You can either add dead weights to the wheel, okay, or you can do the blasting operation. So if this question is for sandy soil, your answer would be A or C. Okay, these two are correct for sandy soil, but as it is asked for clay soil, your answer will be D. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay, so with this I am ending the session for today. Okay, is this okay? Okay, so I am terminating the session for today. So bye, we will meet on the next Tuesday.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will meet on the next Tuesday, same time, 6 to 8 p.m. Okay, and if you know someone some other participants, please encourage them to attend this session, because until you attend this session your doubts will not your doubts regarding numerical and all question will not be clear. Okay, so I encourage everyone to attend this session. though this session will be available on a YouTube channel, still I encourage you to attend this session, okay, so that you can discuss with me live, okay, and clear your doubts. Okay, so bye all of you, bye. We will meet on next Tuesday.